Hello and welcome to this video for marketers and advertisers about the Teasley Statistical Significance Calculator. My name is Brian Teasley, and this calculator is actually world famous. I've had people all over the world email me and ask me questions about it. If you don't have a copy, you can purchase it. It is available. It's a download at teasley.net. If you already know about statistical significance and standard deviation, you can fast forward a minute or two. I'm going to cover those topics first and then kick into the actual Excel-based statistical significance calculator. However, if you are one of the people who does not know about statistical significance and standard deviation, hang on for a minute or two, watch the first few minutes, because I'm actually going to try to explain it to you. Now, for most people, the reason you don't understand statistical significance and standard deviation is because it was either a long time ago since your statistics class and probably your teacher did not explain it to you very well. So hopefully I can do a bit better than that. Let me give you a brief explanation about standard deviation. Everybody knows what average is. If you look at this group on the left, you'd say, okay, they're all at work. Their average age might be around 20. Some of those people, maybe this guy's, the average age is around 40. This guy looks to be probably a little over 40. This person maybe a little over 40. Maybe this person is under 40. These two people, well, they're probably under 40. Guy in the back, he might be a little above 40. Over on the right, let's say the average age here is also 40. We've got this woman who looks to be quite above 40. This woman probably quite above 40. But on the other hand, we've got some kids. So they bring the average back down. The average age is somewhere around 40 for this group also. But obviously, these two groups are not the same. The spread of ages in these two groups are very different. This group has a wide age spread, and here on the left, we have a smaller range of ages. So as it turns out, maybe if we had all the ages and calculated the average, we know everybody knows how to do that. They don't necessarily know how to calculate the standard deviation. But let's say for this group, it turns out to be 5. And if we calculate it for the group on the right, it's a bigger number. It's 15. Because the ages here are obviously, just looking by the people, the ages here are much more spread out than the group on the left. So the group on the left, their ages have a smaller deviation, or a smaller range, a smaller average deviation, as I like to call it. I call it the average deviation. Technical term, standard deviation. We all learn how to calculate that if we go to school and take a math or statistics course. Usually you run into it, and it's a big nasty formula and it looks scary. I could explain that to you, but I'll save that for a different video. But the most important thing here is standard deviation is just measuring the average spread outness of the data. So here, standard deviation is 15 because the ages are much more diverse, much more spread out. They deviate a lot more than this group on the left. Standard deviation is 5. That's much smaller than the deviations going on the right-hand side. All right, so that's what the standard deviation is. It's just the average. It's a measure of the average amount that the data is spread out. All right, that's all it is. No big deal. So what, you might be saying? Well, let's get on to a little bit more information. Most occurrences of an event, which might be how much is sold to somebody, how many items they buy, the number of people that say yes, they're going to vote for a candidate, well, that will occur within a couple of standard deviations from the center of the data. All right, that might not make sense, but let me give you an example. If I look through my sales data, and I see that the average is around $67, and I happen to measure the standard deviation, and it happens to be 15, well, then I know that most of my sales are going to be between -2 standard deviations and +2 standard deviations. So that means most of my sales are going to be between 37 and 97. How did I get 37 and 97? Well, 2 standard deviations up is 2 times 15, that's 30. So 67 plus 30 puts me at 97. 67 minus 30 puts me down to 37. So I know my sales are between 37 and 97 most of the time. So let's say somebody comes in and buys $122 worth of stuff from my store or my website or whatever it happens to be. I say, hey, this is an unusual occurrence. That's outside the range of my normal 2 standard deviations where my transactions normally are. Okay, so an unusual occurrence is a statistically significant occurrence. How statistically significant it is depends on how unusual it is. Okay, that's a little bit jargony. What does that mean? Well, if I go out up 2 standard deviations and down standard deviations, if I go down to 37 and 97, up to 97 in this case, my occurrence of 122 is outside of that. I know that 99% of the time I'm in that range of 37 to 97. So if I get 122, I know I'm 99% sure that this is an unusual occurrence. This purchase of $122 is outside of my normal range. 99% of the time I'm between 37 and 97. 2 standard deviations down, 2 standard deviations up. So 99% of the time I'm in this range. 122, well, that's outside of that range. So I know, I'm 99% sure that this is an unusual occurrence.